Aquaman number 0, written by Jeff Johns, art by Ivan Reyes. This is basically just early days Aquaman. So, 6 years ago, before everything happened, which frankly doesn't seem like enough time to me, timeline wise, but whatever. We see that Black Manta, the whole thing between Aquaman and Black Manta happened where uh, Arthur Curry's father, Thomas Curry, was injured and he's on his deathbed now. And basically, his dad tells him, like, hey, look, here's the thing. When I'm gone, Arthur, I just need you to find Atlantis, find your mom, and tell her that I love her and I never stopped waiting for her. And then he dies. And at this point, Arthur, because of Dr. Stevenson, has been outed as an Atlantean. He's got paparazzi knocking down his door. And like his father's funeral's today, and he just bashes out the door and he's like, what do you want from me? And he's like, we just want to know who you are. And he's like, I ain't one of you, peace. And he takes off his shirt, dives into the ocean, and seemingly goes on the hunt for Atlantis. And he keeps looking. He's going across the entire ocean floor. He can't find anything. At one point, he gets attacked by a great white shark. I can't tell if it draws a bit of blood or he fights it and gets some of its blood, but regardless, he uses his fish telepathy thing in order to ward the shark off. And at that point, he swims back up to the surface and he's like, Jesus, all right, that was a lot. And at this point, a storm's going on where he is. And he looks and sees this ship in the storm. And the captain, along with his daughter, is trying to get it from hitting the rocks of the nearby coast. He's like, oh, I can't do it. It's going to hit. Brace yourselves. And just before it hits, Aquaman grabs it and stops the ship. And the daughter sees him. So they dock the boat until, I guess, morning the next day. Make sure everyone's recovered. And Arthur's still with him. He's still just looking out at the sea, trying to figure out what to do next. And the girl's like, hey, thanks for saving me. How in the world did you do that? And he's like, I'm an Atlantean. And he's just like, oh, that's cool, I guess. But he's like, I can't find it, though. Like, I'm looking for Atlantis, but I literally can't find it. Maybe it's just a myth. Like, whatever. But then the captain speaks up, and he's like, actually, I came from a fishing village, like, pretty nearby. And there's a guy who, like, years ago showed up and claimed that he was from Atlantis. And everyone thought he was just a drunk. But, hey, maybe I can put you in touch with him. And his name is apparently Vulko. So Arthur goes to the guy, introduces himself. And he's like, hi, Vulko, And before he can get his name out, Vulko's like, my king, my liege, it's you. And he bows down to Arthur. And he's like, wasn't expecting this. I'm not really a king. He's like, oh, but you are, Arthur. Please, come inside. We have much to talk about. And so they go inside, and basically they explain the entirety of Arthur's history is that there was a giant storm that nobody could explain out in the Atlantic, and Arthur's mother, Queen of Atlantis, saved Arthur's father, and they fell in love, they had a kid, and before the baby was born, before Arthur was born, her name was Atlanta, by the way. Atlanta was taken hostage, like she was put in political prison because she wanted to give up the throne and raise the baby on land. But she managed to escape just long enough to give birth on the coast. Told Thomas, here, take the baby. If I stay with you, we're always going to be hunted. Went back to Atlantis. Was married to the chief of the Atlantean Guard because that's what the people demanded. Had a second son with him named Orm. And then as soon as Orm turned, I believe it was 12 or something like that, old enough to take the throne, the father died, and then the mother died as well, and therefore Orm became king of Atlantis. And Volko tried to speak up because he saw how that shouldn't have happened. That seems very suspicious, but Orm had him basically chased out, and so he's been living on land trying to find the true heir to the throne, because even though he is half human, half Atlantean, because he's the firstborn, Arthur has the rightful claim, and the people will see that. So Volko's like, all right, here's a magic necklace of the crown jewels that you can wear, and let's go down to Atlantis, and you can finally say what you need to say to your mother's tomb, because it's down there as well. So they go down to Atlantis, and as soon as Arthur first sees it, he's like, I have never felt like I was at home, but seeing this city now, I'm finally getting that feeling. And Volko's like, well, it's good, because it is your true home. And we get a weird, rotated double-page spread here of Atlantis, and we see statues of Orm everywhere. So, yeah, to be continued at some point, I'm sure, because on this trade, Orm is on the cover. I like it. I think it took just enough time of just letting it breathe, of him just, he that long search of him searching for Atlantis, he was on his own, and there was no like narration boxes or thought bubbles or him talking to himself. It was just him looking for it peacefully and quietly until the shark showed up, which was also quiet. Like it didn't ever feel the need to justify like how he was feeling. It just let the story tell itself, and I think there's something definitely well done about that. Overall, I give this issue, I give it an 8. It sets up a good amount of future stuff while also just giving the backstory of like, hey, for those of you who don't know how Aquaman came to be, here it is, as well as setting up the future stuff. So 8 overall, definitely enjoyed it. Art was always a treat as well. Ivan Reyes does a fantastic job here. So definitely worth checking out.